So in the last class, we discussed about IP addressing or logical addressing, that it is 32 bit address, and we have different classes of IP addresses, that is class A, B, C, D, E, and class A, B, C are used for assigning IP addresses to the systems, and class D and class E, in that class D is used for multicasting and class E is used for future purposes. And then we came to know how to find the network address given the IP address and so on, right? Subnetting. So when an organization has been given some blocks of addresses, that is either the class A or class B or class C address, we know that the first address in the block defines the network address, right? So whenever we have a block of IP addresses, we discussed in the previous lecture that the first and foremost address will be the network address and the last address will be the broadcasting address. Okay, so the first address, which is the network address, is used by the routers which are outside of the organization. So why these routers use these things? To route the packets, that is from one organization to other organization. If it has to move the packet from one source organization to destination organization, so it has to route these packets to through the router. So how does this router route these packets to the other network? Using the network address. Okay, so for the outside world, that is when we are getting the packets from the outside world to our organization. Okay, so our router, that is the router in between the external internet and the internal network. Okay, the router recognizes the network. Okay, it will not recognize any host which is connected to the network. Say our college is having, let us say, some 1,000 computers, 1,000 systems connected to a network. So from the outside, we will get the internet packets. Okay, so the outside router, which is connected to the external internet and which is connected to the our internal organization. Okay, so the packets will come through the router. Okay, and now the router recognizes the network, but it does not recognize the hosts which are connected to our network. It first of all recognizes the network and it receives the packets. Okay, and the router receives the packets from the external network and it then sends those packets to the internal network with the network address only. Okay, so outside world so recognizes the network only. Okay, it does not take into consideration any individual hosts on the network. Okay, now if you see in our 32-bit long IP address, our IP address has two parts, as we already discussed: the network ID part or net ID part and host ID part. What is the network ID part represents? The network ID part is used to identify the network, and the host ID part is used to identify the host. Okay, so whenever there is an incoming packet, so first of all the router identifies the network only, that is in the first level we have network address, and in the second level, in the second portion, we have host ID. So if you see on the screen, the router R1 is connected to the internal network and to the rest of the internet. So when the packets come from the rest of the internet to R1, now R1 first of all identifies the network. Okay. So on the left, if you see the network address is 141.14.0.0. So this is the network address, and then that is this IP address consists of first part is network ID and the second part will be the host ID. So first of all, it identifies which network it is. Okay. After identifying the network, then only it forwards the packets to the host connected to this network. So here, what's happening? IP addresses are designed to work with two levels of hierarchy. What is the first level of hierarchy? The network address. And what is the second level of hierarchy? The host IP address. That is, packets from the external internet comes to the network ID first, and after coming to the network ID, in the second level, they will come to the host ID. Okay. Now, but there are at times cases where we wanted to group some computers into different classes or different groups. Okay, so we wanted to assemble different computers into groups. Okay, so let us say, as we have discussed the organization, let us say if you take an engineering college, we have CSE department, ECE department, EEE department, and so on. So all the computers under CSE department will be made one group, and all the computers under ECE department will be made another group, and so on. Okay. So here now, when we are dividing the complete computers connected in the network into again subnetworks. We are dividing a single complete network into a subnetworks. So again, from the original network, now we need the subnetwork address for that packet to be reaching to this particular subnetwork. Okay. So, but for the outside world, how this outside world is going to see our network, it will see it as a single network. Okay. We have a single network address, right? So outside packets come to that address only. But after coming to that address, again, as we have divided the single big network into subnetworks, again now we have subnetwork IDs so that a particular packet can reach to a particular host or computer. Okay, we shall see anyways how this is happening in our discussion. So inside the organization, how the subnetwork is recognized with the help of the subnetwork address. Okay. What in short, what we can call as subnetting? In subnetting, a network is divided into several smaller groups, and each subnetwork will be having its own subnetwork address. So finally, the process of dividing a single network into multiple subnetworks is called subnetting. And these subnets which were created from the process of subnetting are called subnets. Okay, subnetting is the process, and subnets are the smaller networks which we have created by doing the subnetting process. Okay. Now, so if you see on the screen, on the left side we have a big single network, and when we do the subnetting process, then we have divided this single big network into 4 subnets. So top left corner, right corner, bottom left corner, and bottom right corner, we have 4 subnets. So this is how we have divided a single big network into 4 smaller networks called subnets. Now, what is the advantage of subnetting? The main advantages of subnetting are it improves security, and the maintenance and administration of the subnets is also easier. So whenever a particular system floods a particular packet to all the systems in the network, if we do not do subnetting, that flooding will affect the complete systems in the network. But when we do subnetting, what happens? Only part of the network will be affected, but not all the other subnets. So this is how it improves the security. And coming to the next one, maintenance and administration of the subnets is easy, as we are dividing a big single network into smaller subnets. It is very much easy for us to maintain about any error or any problem to diagnose those problems or errors. It is very much easy for us, as we are dividing the whole country into states, and then states are divided into again districts and so on, right? So for the purpose of ease and administration, subnets, dividing the complete single network into subnets is advantageous. Okay. Now coming to the actual discussion of how we are going to carry on the subnetting process. So every subnet is having its unique network address. So this unique network address for every subnet is called subnet ID. As we are having unique network address for every network, the same way we have unique network address for the subnet also. That is what we are going to call it as subnet ID. Okay. So how subnet ID is created? Okay. Now the subnet ID is created by borrowing one or more or some bits from the host ID part of the IP address. We will be seeing an example, don't worry. Okay. So in IP address, we have network ID part and host ID part, right? So we will be doing the subnetting concept by borrowing some bits from the host ID part of the IP address. Okay. So how many bits we have to borrow? This depends upon how many subnets we wanted to create. Okay. So if you wanted to create 2 subnets, we'll borrow some number of bits. If you wanted to create 4 subnets, we'll borrow some number of bits. If you wanted to borrow 16 subnets, we'll borrow some number of bits. So how many number of bits we are going to borrow and all, we'll be seeing in the forthcoming problems. Now coming to types of subnetting. There are basically 2 types of subnetting: fixed length subnetting or it is also called classful subnetting. And the second thing is variable length subnetting, or it is also called as classless subnetting. Coming to the fixed length subnetting, as the name specifies here, the fixed length subnetting is also called as classful subnetting. It divides the network into fixed length subnets. That is, all the subnets are of same size. Every subnet have equal number of hosts, and all the subnets have same subnet mask. Okay, what is subnet mask? This we'll be discussing in the forthcoming discussion also. No problem. Okay, but for now, fixed length subnetting means all subnets are of same size, all subnets have equal number of hosts, and all the subnets have same subnet mask. Next, second one, variable length subnetting. So this is also called as classless subnetting, and it also divides the network into subnets, but all the subnets are not of same size as the name specifies, and all the subnets do not have equal number of hosts, and all the subnets do not have same subnet mask. Okay. Now, let us now see the subnetting example. Very, very important. So please do concentrate more. Okay. Let us say we have a big single network with IP address 200.1.2.0. So which class does this IP address belongs to? It belongs to class C because it is within the range of class C. Okay. Now what we wanted to do, we wanted to divide this single big network into two subnets. That is, we wanted to divide the complete network into two subnetworks. Okay. So if you see on the bottom of the screen, the representation of IP address and net ID and host ID. If you see 200.1.2.0 for class C IP address, how many bytes we have for net ID? The first 3 bytes are for net ID, and how many bytes for host ID? The last byte is for host ID. That is, first 24 bits are for net ID and last 8 bits are for host ID. I hope this is clear for you all, right? Now we wanted to create two subnets, right? So when you remember the discussion in our starting, when we wanted to create a subnet, we will borrow the bits from the host ID part. Okay. So to identify two subnets, how many bits we require? To identify two subnets, how many bits we require? Only one bit. That is, if you see here on the bottom of the screen, forget about the net ID part. We will not disturb the net ID part. If you see in the host ID part, it is 8 bits, right? So total now host ID part is 8 bits. But now we wanted to divide the network into subnetworks. So how many subnetworks we wanted to do? Two subnetworks, right? So how many bits we have to take from the host ID departments? Only one bit. Okay. So now for host ID, how many bits are remaining? Only 7 bits. If you see here, we have borrowed one bit for subnet ID, which is marked in the red color. That is, for first subnet, we represent it with 0, and for second subnet, we represent it with 1. Okay, I hope up to this it is clear. Okay, it will be more clear when we identify the IP addressing of these subnets. Okay, now, so if you see here, if the borrowed bit from the host ID part is 0, then it represents the first subnet, or if the borrowed bit is 1, then it represents the second subnet. Okay, now if you see here, the IP address of the divided two subnets. What is the IP address of the original network? Original single network 200.1.2.0. Okay. Now what we told that when we are doing subnetting, we borrow some number of bits from the host ID part. So what is the host ID part in 200.1.2.0? Because it is class C IP address, the host ID part is only last 8 bits. Now, as we are subnetting or as we are dividing this single big network on the left side into two parts, so in order to identify two subnets, how many bits we require? Only 2 bits. So if we see for the first subnet, it is 200.1.2.0. See, the first bit is 0, which is in bolded black color. Okay, so this bit we have borrowed from the host ID part and we made it as a subnet ID. Okay, and all the other things are we left it as 0. Okay, So what will be the subnet address of first subnet? 200.1.2.0. Okay. Now, what about the starting address of the second subnet? 200.1.2. So for it to be the second subnet, now we do it as 1, right? So previously we told if borrowed bit is 0, it is first subnet. If borrowed bit is 1, then it represents the second subnet. So now we have borrowed bit as 1, okay, and all the other ones are 0. So 200.1.2.128. So now this will be the subnet address, subnet network address or subnet address of the second subnet. So this is how we are going to do subnet. Did all of you understood the process of subnetting here?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next. Okay. So this is how we do this kind of subnetting. Okay. So before discussing some important representations, we have to get acquainted with some terminologies. Broadcast addressing. So what is broadcast addressing means? Broadcast is nothing but this data packet is destined for all computers or for all hosts which are on that particular physical network. Broadcast means the radio broadcasting. That is, the radio broadcasting will be broadcasted to everyone which is connected in the radio network, right? So in this also network broadcasting. Broadcasting means the data packet is sent for all the hosts which are connected on that particular physical network. Okay. So how these hosts which are connected in this network recognize this broadcasting? So they do recognize with the help of some special type of addresses. Okay. So the routers support different types of broadcast types. Okay. There are three types. The first one is limited broadcast. The second one is flooded broadcast. And the third one is directed broadcast. So what is limited broadcast? So in limited broadcast, a packet will be sent to a specific network or some series of networks. Okay. So what happens here? This limited broadcast address, it includes the network field or the subnet field. If you see here, previous discussion, we told that IP address is a combination of net ID part and host ID part. So this limited broadcast address includes the net ID part, or along with that, it may include the subnet field, that is in the host ID part. We have borrowed some bits from our subnetting rate, so it also includes that subnet fields also. That is, for example, if you take it here on the bottom, in the limited broadcast packet, which has been designed for the local area network. Okay, so the network identifier part, that is net ID part, and host ID part of the destination address will be either all ones or all zeros. If you see here 255.255.255.255. So this part, that is the network ID part and host ID part, will be either all ones. If it is all ones, it will be 255, 255, 255, 255. If it is all zeros, it will be 0.0.0.0. So this limited broadcast address will be either 255.255.255.255 or all zeros, that is 0.0.0.0. Okay. Next, flooded broadcast. Flooded broadcast means this packet is sent to every network. Here we do not consider any single network. Whatever networks are connected to this one, we will be flooding the packet to all the networks, irrespective of their addresses. Okay. The next one is directed broadcast. Directed broadcast means here the packet is sent to only the specific destination address, and that too only the host portion of the IP address is either all ones or all zeros. If you see here the difference between limited broadcast and directed broadcast, here all the parts, that is both network ID part and host ID part, will be either all ones or all zeros. But here coming to directed broadcast, only the host portion, we will not touch the network ID portion, we will only consider the host portion, and that portion will be either all ones or all zeros. If you see here an example 190.20.255.255. So this is class B IP address, right? So this class B IP address, what is the range of class B? 128 to 191. So what is the host ID part? Last two bytes, right? Byte 3 and byte 4. So if you see, only the host ID part is kept with all ones, that is 255.255, or it is kept with all zeros, 0.0. So for that is the reason this directed broadcast is now 190.20.255.255 or 190.20.0.0. Okay, so these are the different types of addresses, that is limited broadcast, flooded broadcast, and directed broadcast addresses. So why we are discussing this means now we will have these addresses in our subnets. Okay, now as we have divided our original subnet into two subnets. Okay, now let us see what are the different things we have to consider here. For the first subnet, which is on the left side, what is the IP address of the subnet? The IP address of the subnet will be the first address. As we already told that among all the IP addresses, the first address will be always the network address. So here also for the subnet, the first address will be always the subnet address. So here it is 200.1.2.0. Okay. Now, so what will be the total number of IP addresses? What will be the total number of IP addresses? They are 2 power 7. Why they are 2 power 7? Actually, the total number of IP addresses here must be 2 power 8. But we are telling that now it is 2 power 7 only. Why? Because one bit we have taken for identifying the subnet. So we are remained with only 7 bits. So how many number of IP addresses we have? Now, only 7 bits for representing the IP address. So that is the reason we have 2 power 7 IP addresses only. Okay, it means 128 IP addresses. That is from 0 to 127. Okay, now coming to the next one, the total number of hosts that can be configured. That is the total number of IP addresses. Now we have 128 IP addresses. But among these 128 IP addresses, how many actual IP addresses we can give to the systems in the subnet? Only 126. That is 128 minus 2 is equal to 126. Why we are subtracting minus 2 here? If you remember, when we are discussing about the network addresses or a block of IP addresses, always the first address will be the network address and the last address will be the broadcast address. So this network address and broadcast address are not used for assigning these IP addresses to the systems connected to the network. So only we can configure 126 IP addresses for the only we can configure 126 IP addresses in the given subnet. Okay. Now, what will be the range of IP addresses for this subnet 1? We are discussing about only the first subnet. Okay. So 200.1.2.00002, 200.1.2.011. If you see here, we did not touch the first bit. Okay. The first bit is for the first subnet, it will be always 0, right? So we only changed the last 7 bits. That is, last 7 bits will be varying from 7 zeros to 7 ones. So what will be the range of IP addresses? 200.1.2.0 to 200.1.2.127. Okay. So these are the range of IP addresses. Now coming to the direct broadcast address. So direct broadcast address. What did we discuss about direct broadcast address? We only touch the host ID part. Okay, we do not touch the network ID part, and that too, if we are having subnetting concept, we also do not touch that particular subnetting bit also. So here for direct broadcasting addresses, what did we do? 200.1.2.0 and all the other values we have kept it as 1, right? So what will be the direct broadcast address now? 200.1.2.127. One small thing here is that in the range of IP addresses, the last IP address will be always the direct broadcasting address. Okay. Now coming to the limited broadcast address, what did we tell? We'll put either all ones or all zeros. So we kept here all ones. That is 255.255.255.255. Okay. Is it clear, all of you, about this first subnet? How we are assigning the IP address of the subnet? Why we got only 2 power 7? So how we get only 126 configurations here? Is that clear, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let us now go to the second subnet. So now for the second subnet, what is the subnet ID for the second subnet? Switch off your microphone if not telling the answer someone. Okay, so what will be the IP address for the second subnet? Obviously 200.1.2.128. So how did we get this one? So previously we discussed for this subnet. How did we get this one? So for the first subnet, the first bit will be 0. For the second subnet, the first bit will be 1 and remaining all will be zeros. So this gave us 200.1.2.128. Right? Okay, I'm sorry. Next. So if you say for this second subnet, the total number of IP addresses also here 2 power 7, 128. The total number of hosts that can be configured also 128 minus 2, that is 126. The range of IP addresses here. So the range of IP addresses is 200.1.2.1 followed by all zeros to 1 followed by all ones. That is, finally we have the range of IP addresses 200.1.2.128 to 200.1.2.255, isn't it? This one. Okay. So what will be the direct broadcast address? Obviously, the last address will be the direct broadcast address, right? So 200.1.2.255, and the limited broadcast address is 200.255.255.255. Okay. So is the red color pointing visible for you?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Next. Okay. Now let us take another example. Okay. Now previously we divided the subnet into 2 parts. Now we wanted to divide the subnet into 4 parts. Again we took the same IP address 200.1.2.0 and we wanted to divide this subnet into this complete network into 4 subnets. So clearly here also the IP address belongs to class C. So the net ID will be first 3 bytes and the host ID will be last byte here, isn't it? This is the last byte. Okay. Now, if you see here, to create 4 subnets. Now, can you tell how many bits we require to identify 4 subnets?
2 bits, sir.
2 bits we require.
Host ID,
So,
yeah.
and these 2 bits from where, from which part we will take?
Host ID.
From host ID part, yes, exactly. Okay, so if we take these 2 bits from the host ID part, now we are remaining with only 6 bits in the host ID part because the first 2 bits are used for identifying the subnets now. Okay, so now what will be the subnet values? If the borrowed bit is 0, 0, then it will be the first subnet. If it is 0, 1, then it will be the second subnet. If it is 1, 0, then it is the third subnet. If it is 1, 1, then it is the fourth subnet. So this is how now we represent these values. Now let us see how we have different IP addresses, different broadcast addresses, how many IP addresses we can configure and all. Okay. So now what will be the IP addresses of the 4 subnets? If you observe here, 200.1.2. If they are first 2 zeros, these first 2 zeros are the borrowed bits and all the others are zeros. So this will be 200.1.2.0. Now for the second subnet, what will be these first 2 bits? 0, 1 and all zeros. It means 200.1.2.64. For the third subnet, now it is 10. It will be 200.1.2.128. And for the last subnet, it is 11. So it will be 200.1.2.192. So if you see on the screen, the complete single bit network is now divided into 4 subnets. So these are all the 4 subnets. Subnet 1, this is subnet 2, and this is subnet 3, and this is subnet 4. Okay. Now, for the first subnet again, what will be the IP address of the first subnet? 200.1.2.0. The total number of IP addresses will be now how many, Nana? Can anyone tell me? 2 power 6, right? Because the other 2 numbers are for subnetting purpose. So we have only 6 bits for representing the IP addresses now. So only 64 IP addresses we get. And among the 64, the hosts that can be configured are only 62, right? The first address will be for network address and the last address is for broadcasting purpose. Now, range of IP addresses. 200.1.2. These 2 zeros are subnetting purpose, followed by all zeros to followed by all ones. It means 200.1.2.0 to 200.1.2.63. Now, direct broadcast address. What did we tell? All the host ID part values will be 1. But here the first 2 zeros are not touched because these are subnet ID part. So we do not touch this. Only the last value should be 1. So what will be the final direct broadcast address? 200.1.2.63 and limited broadcast address 255.255.255.255. Okay, this is for first subnet. So similarly, for the second subnet also we'll do the same thing. For the third subnet we'll do the same thing, and for the fourth subnet also we'll do the same. Okay. Now let us consider another example. Now we wanted to divide this subnet only into 3 parts. Till now we have seen how we can divide the subnet into 2 parts and 4 parts. Now we see how to divide the subnetwork into 3 subnets. So in order to do subnetting for complete network into 3 subnets, what we have to do? First of all, we have to divide the given network into 2 subnets. Okay, so can we represent 3 subnets with some bits? We cannot represent 3 subnets by taking 1 bit or by taking 2 bits. If we take 1 bit from the host ID part, we can only represent 2 subnet IDs. If we take 2 bits, we can only represent 4, but we cannot represent 3, right? So for that, what we are going to do? First of all, we divide the given network into 2 subnets. Okay, and later, after dividing the original network into 2 subnets, we divide either one of the subnet again into 2 subnets. So like that, we can obtain 3 subnets. Okay, if you see here in this example on the left side, we have a big single network. Now, first of all, in the step 1, what did we do? We divide the single big network into subnet 1 and subnet 2. And later, what did we do? Again, we divided this into, see, this is the first subnet 200.1.2.0. Second subnet is 200.1.2.128. Now, here again, we are going to divide this second subnet. This is the first subnet. This is the second subnet. Now, we again divide this second subnet into 2 parts. Okay. Now, let us consider we wanted to do subnetting for this IP address, second subnet. Okay, that is 200.1.2.120. So, what do we do? If you see here again, now, how many total subnets we require? 3. Okay. So initially we have divided this complete network into 2 parts, right? So to divide this complete single network into 2 parts, how many bits we require? Only 1 bit. So we took this 1 bit here. So this is the borrowed bit for dividing the whole network into 2 subnets. Okay. Now that step 1 completed. Now in the second step, now what we do? Again, we borrow another bit from here, right? So up to here, we divided the subnet into 2 parts. Okay. Now again further, the second part we wanted to divide it again into 2 parts. So for this reason, we also take this bit also. Okay, you understood. Now the remaining host ID part is only 6 bits. Okay. Now, so if you see here, this is the first bit which is borrowed in the first step. Now, this will be the second bit. Now, what will be the subnet IDs? If the second bit is 0, then it represents the one subnet. And if the second bit borrowed is 1, then it represents the other subnet, isn't it? So now, if you see, initially we divided this single network into network 1, subnetwork 1 and subnetwork 2. And then again, we divided this complete subnetwork. This is the second complete subnetwork into again subnetwork 1 and subnetwork 2. Okay. So if you see here, this 1 is common here for this subnetwork and this subnetwork. Actually, up to here, this is subnetwork 1 and up to here, this is subnetwork 2. But whenever we kept this 0, then it will be the second part, this part. Okay. And when we put 1 here, then this will be this part. Okay, this part. So what will be the IP addresses for the second part? Now 200.1.128 and for this part 200.1.2.192. Okay, so this is how we do this one. So finally, what will be the subnet ID IP addresses? 200.1.2.0 for the first subnet, 200.1.2.128 for the second subnet, 200.1.2.192 for the third subnet. Okay, so this is how we do odd number of subnettings when we have been given a single big network. So here again the same thing we will be doing for the first subnet, what will be the IP addresses and so on for the second subnet and for the third subnet also. Okay. Now coming to the drawbacks or disadvantages of subnetting. So when we are doing subnetting, we face a lot of loss of IP addresses. See, how many number of subnettings we are doing? We are losing that many number of 2 IP addresses. So here we lost 2 IP addresses. Here we lost 2 IP addresses, and here we lost 2 IP addresses, right? So when we are doing subnetting, we are going to lose the IP addresses. So this is one of the drawbacks. Okay. Next, one IP address is wasted for network address, right? We know that when we are doing subnetting, all the time the first address is wasted for the network address, and the last address is wasted for the direct broadcast address. So like that, we are wasting the IP addresses. That is while doing subnetting. And after subnetting, what happens? The communication problem becomes very complex. If it is a single network, then the communication will be to the single network ID. But if we have divided the single network into more number of networks, first of all, it has to take time to identify the network, and then it has to identify the subnetwork, and again in that subnetwork it has to identify the host, and in that host it has to identify the process in that particular host, right? So this is the drawback of subnetting while we are doing subnetting. So these are the drawbacks. Okay. So with this, we have completed the concept of subnetting. So clear? So
Yes,
clear
sir.
up to now, all of you? Okay. Now, let us now discuss about the next concept, subnet mask. What is a subnet mask and why do we use it? Let us have the answers for this question when we discuss when we continue our discussion. Subnet mask is a 32-bit number. We know that IP address is also a 32-bit number. So as the subnet mask also. It is also a 32-bit number. So which is having a sequence of ones followed by sequence of zeros. Okay. So what does this sequence of ones and sequence of zeros tell us? The ones represent the global network ID and subnet ID. Zeros represent the host ID. So in subnetting, we already came to know about this fact, right? So ones represent the global network ID part. Okay, I'm sorry, this is not about the one. Okay. So don't get confused. I also don't want you to be confused. Okay. So this is a 32-bit number. Here ones represent the global network ID part and subnet ID part, and zeros represent the host ID part. So as already discussed, the subnet mask looks like the IP address only, right? Now we told that the subnet mask is also 32-bit long. That is, it is having the same length as of IPv4 address, but the subnet mask and IPv4 addresses are different from each other. We'll see how they are different from each other. Okay. Now the subnet mask, if it is in binary, if it is represented in binary, it is a string of ones followed by some number of zeros. That is what we have discussed just now, right? It is a string of ones followed by some number of zeros. For example, my computer, that is my laptop subnet mask is 255.255.255.0. Okay, so how did we get this subnet mask? Okay, I'll show you. Okay, anyways, if you see, this is the decimal representation of the subnet mask, and this is the binary format. That is a conversion of 255 from decimal to binary is all ones. So all ones, and the last part is zero. That is the subnet mask here is 255.255.255.0. Okay. So if you see here in this subnet mask, we have all ones followed by 8 zeros. That is 24 ones followed by 8 zeros. Okay. So in shorthand notation, how do we represent this subnet mask? Means we will write it as /24. So if any IP address representation, if we represent it with /24, then we say that this is the shorthand notation of the subnet mask. So if we have written any IP address and then followed by /some24, then we say that that is the subnet mask. That is, it is having 24 number of ones, and the other number, what will be the other number? 8 only, right? So all the other 8 bits are zeros. That is 24 number of ones, and other number of bits are zeros. Okay, so this is how we represent this slash 24. Okay. Now, so this is here are some another examples of subnet. If you see, this is slash 8 means how many number of ones? 8 number of ones, and all the others are zeros. And if it is slash 16, 16 ones. If it is slash 5, only 5 ones. Slash 20, only 20 ones. And slash 25, only 25 ones. All the others are zero. So in this way, different ways we can represent the subnet mask. Okay. So now, how to calculate the subnet mask? For a given IP address, how the subnet mask is calculated? So we already discussed that the network ID part and subnet ID part, we set those bits to 1, and all the other host ID part we set it to 0. Okay. So this is how the subnet mask is calculated. Okay. If you see here, let us say we have an IP address 200.1.2.0. Okay. Now, so what to which IP address does this? To which class does this IP address belongs to? Obviously, class C, right? So if you see here, in class C, how many bits are reserved for network ID part? See, 24 bits are reserved for network ID part, and 8 bits are reserved for host ID part. Okay. So as we discussed in subnet mask, we are going to set all the network ID part and subnet ID parts to 1, and only the host ID part to 0. So here we did not do any subnetting, right? So for that reason, what will be the subnet mask now? What will be the network ID part? This part will be the network ID part, right? And this part will be the host ID part, because first 3 bits are network ID part and the last bit is host ID part, right? So then what will be the subnet mask now? The subnet mask will be the network ID part is kept to all ones, and the subnet and host ID part is kept to all zeros. So all ones means 255.255.255.0. So this is how we get the subnet mask for this class C IP address. I hope this is clear for you all guys, right? Next. Let us take another example. Now we have considered the subnetting. So we have divided the single big network into 4 parts: subnet 1, subnet 2, subnet 3, and subnet 4. Now how do we identify the subnet mask for these individual subnets? As we already discussed, the subnet mask will be having ones in both the network ID part and also in the subnet ID part also. So for each subnet, for identifying the global network, we have 24 bits, because this is class C IP address. Because this is 200, this is class C IP address. For identifying the global network, we have 24 bits. Now we wanted to divide this into 4 subnets. So how many bits we have to borrow from the host ID part? 2 bits. So these 2 bits we used for identifying the subnet, and the other remaining 6 bits we used to identify the host, right? So now for subnet mask, how many number of ones should be there? 24 number of bits for the global network ID plus 2 bits for the subnet ID. So how many number of bits will be there? How many number of ones will be there? 24 plus 2 is 26. So if you see here, these are 24 ones and plus 2 bits for the subnet ID part. So 26. So 255.255.255. This is 192. So this is how we represent the subnet mask. Okay, it is clear. Now coming to the third example. Now we divided this complete subnet into 3 subnets. Okay, the same way we do this one. So how we are going to divide the subnet and so on. This is the first one, and this is again we are dividing it into 2. So here we require how many bits for representing these 2 subnets? Only 1 bit. So if you see here, we have represented only 1 bit here. So 255.255.255.128. So this is how we are going to identify the subnet mask. Okay. Now for subnet B and C also. Now if you come for subnets B and C, okay, this one is for this particular first subnet. That is, we have divided this into first network and second network, right? Sorry, not for this one. So this is for the first subnet, and this is for second subnet, right? So for this one, this one is for dividing this into first subnet and second subnet, and the next one is, now we have again divided this second subnet into 2 subnets. Okay, right? So for this one again we use this one. Okay. So how many number of ones here? No, 2 ones. So this is the reason we got 192 as subnet mask. So for the first subnet it is 128. For the second two subnets, the subnet mask is 192. Okay. Now, what are the default subnet masks for IP addresses? So for class A, the default subnet mask is 255.0.0. For class B, it is 255.255.0.0. For class C, it is 255.255.255.0. By now by now you should come to understand that why did we have the default subnet mask for class A as 255.0.0.0? Because the network ID part is for only first byte. All the other parts are host bytes. So in subnet mask we have all ones for the network ID part and all zeros for the host ID part. And for this is the network ID part and this is the host ID part. And for class C, this is the network ID part and this is the host ID part. Okay, so that is the reason the default subnet mask for class A is 255.0.0.0, class B 255.255.0.0, class C 255.255.255.0. Okay, now we have discussed the subnet is this, the subnet is that, how the subnet is calculated and so on. But what is the use? How can we use this subnet in our networking? So the subnet mask is used to determine to which subnet the given IP address belongs to. Okay, whenever we give a particular IP address, now by using the subnet mask, we can come to know to which subnet the given IP address belongs to. That is, let us say we have been given an IP address. Okay, this is IP address, it has been given, and now we have subnet mask also. Okay, so when we have this IP address and subnet mask, we can identify to which network this IP address belongs to using the subnet mask. So this is the main reason why we are going to use subnet mask. Let us now see an example of subnet mask. So if you see in your computers, if you are using Windows, you can type ipconfig/all. So if you type ipconfig/all, then you will be getting your IPv4 address and the subnet mask. If you see it, this is my IPv4 address, which I have run this command yesterday. If you can see, this is the time, right? Yesterday, I have run this command. So the subnet mask is 255.255.255.0 because this is the class C IP address. The default subnet mask will be 255.255.255.0. Okay, you can also check out in your system. Okay. So coming back to our question, why the computer needs subnet mask? So let us say there is a scenario where we have station A here and we have station B here and we have station C here. Okay, now the station A wants to communicate with the station B. Okay, when we are observing this diagram, we can see that A and B both are in the same LAN. Okay, same LAN. That is, A wanted to communicate with B and also A wants to communicate with C also. But as humans, we see and we observe that this belongs to same LAN. But how does A come to know that whether B belongs to the same network or not, or whether C belongs to the same network or not? Now let us see how this will happen. If you see here, the question is how computer B is identified as a local computer and how computer C is identified as a remote computer. So here comes the actual role of the subnet mask. Now, if you see, this is the ACE subnet mask. What is the ACE IP address here? 10.1.151.2. Okay, so actually this belongs to class A, right? So, but here we have taken the subnet mask to be this one, 255.255.255.0. Okay, so you can take the default subnet mask of this particular ACE IP address also, no problem. So we have taken these IP addresses 10.1.151.3 and C's IP address as this one, for example. Okay, so if you see here, so the default subnet mask means all 24 ones, and the last part is this is host ID part, and this part is this complete part is network ID part. Okay, so the ACE IP address, that is 10.1.151.2, its binary representation is this one. and B's IP address and C's IP address binary representation is this one. Okay. Now, if you see here, now for computer A to check whether B is in the same network of A or not, what actually do? It compares A's IP address with the B's IP address bit by bit. Okay. So when it is comparing bit by bit, all the network ID part numbers. So this is the network ID part, right? So all the network ID part bits are same. Okay. So when all the network ID part are same, then computer A comes to a conclusion that B is in the same network in which A lies. So that is now A and B are in the same network. That is these bits. These particular bits are checked. Why only these particular bits are checked? Because this part of A subnet mask represents the network ID part. So only the bits which are under the network ID part will be checked bit by bit. So it comes to a conclusion that B, that is the computer B, is in the same network of computer A. Okay. So now, if it is checking for computer C, again, it will check for all the bits which are under these ones. So, what is the IP address of A? This is the binary representation, and this is the binary representation of C's IP address. So, this bit is not same. That is 0 and 1 are not same. That is when it is doing bit by bit comparison, this 0 and 1 are not same. So, by this, the computer A comes to know that the computer C is in the same network as in the A. That is now the computer C is remote to the computer A. So by using this subnet mask only, it came to know that A, that is B, is in the same network and C is not in the same network. Okay. Now, let us see some worked out examples to understand more about the subnet mask. So actually, I told that it is comparing the IP addresses of A and B, and it determines whether it is present in the same network or not. But this will be the actual procedure. If you see, let us take this IP address, that is 216.3.128.1. So what is this IP address? To which class does this belong to? To which class does this belong to? Class C. Okay. So for class C, what is the default subnet mask? 255.255.255.0. Okay. Now what we will do? We will take this IP address and we will take this mask and we will perform bitwise logical AND operation. So what is bitwise logical AND operation? For 1 and 1 it is 1, 1 and 1 it is 1, 0 and 1 it is 0, 1 and 1 it is 1, and so on. We perform bitwise logical AND operation. So if we perform, what will get? 216.3.128.0. So when we take IP address and mask as input, we got the output this address. What is this address? This address is the network address. So in the starting itself we told how we can make use of mask means subnet mask means if we have been given an IP address and we use the mask address, then we get the network address. That is, now let us say A, which is A's IP address, right? So when we do AND operation with this A subnet mask, now it comes to know that it belongs to the network 10.0.0.0. Okay, so now again, now B's IP address is done with the subnet mask of A. Now it also, here also we get the network address to be 10.0.0.0. Now it comes to conclusion that as both the network IDs are same, both A and B belong to the same network. But here this does not, it cannot come like this. Okay, so this is how we can do the comparison of IP addresses, and we can come to know how this particular system is either local to the network or remote to the network. Okay. So finally, the subnet mask is used by the computer or host to determine if the other computer is on the same network or on the different network. Okay. So this is all about the subnet.